veterans of the scene going head-to-head. Yesterday, Superstars was able to take out Naventic, but is that going to be the case here against B-Step?
Exactly. Well, before we look at some of those veterans, let's hear from them themselves about this matchup.
So I think they have a lot of potential. I think they have great players, but that's another team that it really depends. Sometimes they're really, really good, and sometimes they just don't live up to their potential.
They're the scariest team to go up against in terms of getting cheesed. They have the craziest drafts that are really annoying to play against. And hopefully we can deny that, because I don't know, I will say, they're cheese lords.
They're a very strong team with very mechanically advanced players. They do have a odd target calling, if anything, which can be what determines a lot of their team fighting capabilities, which if they've worked on those ends, they probably become a really strong team.
I think Superstars is a gimmicky team. If they play standard, they stand no chance. If you give them the stuff that no one likes playing, then they will beat you. So just shut them down from playing Cho'Gall and Vikings and not fun heroes, and it's a joke of a team.
There's so much to say about the history and even the history within Heroes Global Championship so far that these teams have shown, but we want to start things off with a comparison of two players who have shown so much improvement just within HGC alone, and that's Iacona versus APM. Both of these players have really been focusing on having heroes like Rhaegar or Malfurion, but when I look at some of the niche heroes for them, it's Iacona's Morales. It's undefeated in 3 games, averaging less than 1 death a game as Morales. And then APM's Kharazim has just been such a hit so far. 2 out of 3 wins, averaging 1 death a game as Kharazim so far, and a 14 KDA on that hero, showing such amazing measured aggression.
Yeah, APM is a player who is really just in its constant improvement when it comes to the support role. Very early on, you could tell he's really trying to be able to find himself, but as the series is, or really their team has gone on, he himself has really been able to prove himself. Iacona, as always, you know, been around a very, very long time, but I would say even he has shown quite a bit of improvement here at HGC North America.
Absolutely, and when we talk about team improvement and performance, looking at Superstars, Superstars themselves have had some troubles with drafting. One of the most that we saw was versus Galeforce Esports, but now in their last series versus Naventic, they had not only improved that aspect, they came out very strong, and even when they were behind on 2 of the Spider Queen, crazy behind in that game, able to find the exact fight needed to turn the game around and end up winning it. That's huge for them. Yeah,
it's just been really amazing to see the growth of, you know, both these teams. It's just, I don't even really kind of have the words for it, really, because, again, B-Step was so, you know, lackluster when they opened at HGC, then turning it around last week with their performance, you know, showing the variant, making it the high-value hero that it is now in the North American scene, and then Superstars being able to take out Naventic on yesterday, and just their play overall is just slowly climbing, and it's awesome to see because, again, these especially Superstars has been kind of in that mid-range for so long to be able to finally, you know, get a spike of play out of them. Hopefully it just continues.
Especially to B-Step, looking at the flexibility that they've been able to show so far, bringing back some of their old school heroes like Tyrande and Jaina. We could be in for such a treat for how the drafting is going to be. But let's start with the Battleground. Heading into the Battleground pool for HGC. B-Step have banned Braxis Holdout. That is a favorite of Superstars. Superstars turning around and taking out Curse Hollow. Our first Battleground is going to be Dragonshire, chosen by B-Step. What do you make of that, Dread?
It's an interesting choice for B-Step because Dragonshire has really only kind of been valued by, like, No Tomorrow, really, is the only team has gone out of their way to pick it. So I think this, again, shows the evolution of the thought process of the teams, but more than anything, I think it leads to they're going to look for that kill potential. The success they had of last week was all around the Tyrande, the Jaina, the Varian.
Definitely.
And it's a map that allows that playstyle to kind of thrive a little bit, and I very much expect that kind of focus for them here.
Even Jaina, that was a hero that Naventic used to great success versus No Tomorrow on this Battleground because of the rotations between mid-bot. She adds to the wave clear, but she also adds to whomever gets caught out, making sure that you can get a kill on them.
Yeah, she is one of the highest early game kill potential heroes in the entire game, minus Tyrande is the only other one that really, I would say, is above her purely on just having that slow that early on. Arthas is one of the few that provides that, yes, but he doesn't have the damage that Jaina does. So yeah, it is really exciting to see that, again, especially with the legendary players on that hero like K1 Pro, who, when her initial release into the game of Heroes of the Storm, single-handedly just made her first pick, first ban.
Ragnaros, the first pick for Superstars here on Dragonshire. B-Step now with 2 picks. Maybe this is where they want to bring in Varian, if that's the case. They probably could wait on Jaina until later on, unless they are very, very concerned with having something like Jaina Zeratul and want to get one of those out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is interesting because, like, traditionally you would expect them to maybe consider a little bit more of the fall stat. That's something that they were willing to be able to first pick against No Tomorrow when they played this map.
Right.
But then again, their success didn't come with the fall stat style picks. It came with the other. So I do agree with you. I think we'll expect, like, honestly, I think like a Varian of just this high up. It's just like a Varian Jaina. Make sure they get what they want. I don't think that B-Step is going to be comfortable, you know, not come out the gate swinging here in this series, especially because they're already showing adjustments. Picking that Dragonshire, I expect the draft to be a little bit different too. It's going to be the Zeratul and the fall stats. So not as much focus onto the early game as I would have expected out of them, but I mean, they're very good picks overall. So.
But in the aspect of being able to scare the top laner of Superstars, in this case, most likely it'll be Ragnaros, and hope to get picks on them whenever they're too far forward by having somebody like Zeratul hiding or Falstad flying in. If he's not the person who's up in the top lane, could be the way that B-Step wants to play this out. Rhaegar and Medivh for Superstars. So Superstars continuing with this Medivh play that they were bringing out versus Naventic yesterday.
And it's a soft response to the playstyle that we saw B-Step have success with. I even suggested it in those games. You know, this is where I want a Medivh because the cooldown of Medivh's shield is significantly shorter than the setup of any hero to be able to, you know, focus on that. You suddenly have to have more than just a 1-2 punch between Varian and Tyrande. You have to have like a 1-2-3. There has to be somebody else to be able to set that up because you have a Medivh shield on that 5-second cooldown, but then also the cleanse to be considering with the Rhaegar. He's got burst healing. There's a lot of good tools already for Superstars draft that meets what they're good at, but also minimizing the strengths that we've seen out of B-Step recently. I love to see that from them.
B-Step are considering a Tychus ban. Now, one thing to consider for Superstars is they will be playing with a sub today. They have Nightmare, who will be subbing in for Faye. Nightmare's been around for a long time in the scene, playing a lot of ranged heroes, also been known to play melee assassins when needed as well. So a capable, flexible player, but nonetheless still having to play with a sub here. Not ideal for Superstars, but they're looking to make it work. Yeah,
Nightmare is a very, very successful player in competitive Heroes of the Storm. Has been around, as you said, a very long time. So I hope that he can, you know, provide the tools necessary here for Superstars to really be in their top form, and I expect it out of them for so far. But it is going to be the band there with the Tychus. Superstars, where are they going to move into their band? They consider either the Warrior or they can still go into the supports. I was going to say, I think I expect more of a Warrior focus, but the fact that it was the Diablo over something like the Variant is a little interesting, showing that maybe Superstars is just, you know, calling it out, saying, you know, we want you to be able to take this. We think this Medivh has the resources to be able to stop it. Because, again, you know, the Diablo Zeratul Wombo is terrifying, but it's B-Step's, you know, Jaina, Varian, Tyrande trio that I think would scare me a bit more.
Yeah, me as well. We'll see if B-Step moves further down that route. If they do go for Jaina, that'd be Tyrande's solo support, which they haven't done yet.
I don't see them moving that heavily with into the Tyrande. I think the Jaina for the pairing, but I think they'll avoid the Tyrande.
Yeah.
I think they'll actually just pick the Varian here, and they'd be comfortable, you know, with a more traditional support in the back, possibly even going to be the Brightwing there, considering the map, and then also having the Zeratul already on their team.
So there's Varian. So we're waiting now on what APM will play. Could be Brightwing. I also think it could be Kharazim, just given the fact of how much they've focused on having that hero so far. Even, yeah, I think it'll be Kharazim, but it could be either, especially if they want to just have yet another global to be able to help out with those Zeratul ganks.
Yeah, it's not only the global in the later half of the game that you can get the threat out of having Falstad and the Brightwing for, you know, it's Dragonshire, the Shrines, having that pressure, but more than anything, it's the kill potential in the early game because they've committed to that. They have the Varian, they have the Zeratul. They are very heavily committed. The biggest thing is that their top laner is heavily struggling on the side of B-Step, and is Superstars, though, on the other side, have Ragnaros, a very successful top laner, and there's nobody, B-Step can't make that adjustment in their draft at this point. So that is a huge, you know, crippling aspect. And Superstars not only have the Medivh, but they've also got Johanna and another hero who's good at dealing with that kill potential and complementing the wave clear. So Superstars, I have to give them credit. They've done a lot of things really right into this draft to be able to focus on what they like, but also minimizing what B-Step is comfortable or successful with.
Yes, it seems like if Nightmare will be the Vala player, which it seems like that, he is filling the same sort of role exactly, being able to play the same heroes that the team already prioritizes. Faye's Vala is very impressive. We talked about it yesterday. So that is at least one nice thing for Superstars in having a sub, is that it's somebody who fits right in and can play the same heroes. This last pick, who is APM playing, will be Karzim to round out the composition of B-Step. So yeah, who will the solo lane be? Are we going to see them do some wonky, maybe mid-top, then mid-bottom crazy rotations to throw Superstars off?
I think that might be the plan, but I don't know how well it's going to work. As long as the Ragnaros is very patient up in the top lane for the most part, Johanna and Medivh with the portals with the shielding should be pretty all right, no matter what surprising rotation comes out of B-Step. So I think as long as Ragnaros is going to be patient with his positioning, I actually like Superstars' composition in the early games, considering it's Dragonshire a lot more. I do think their team fight is a little weak, but it's Dragonshire. Again, the small skirmishes, as long as they're patient, they have the tools to deal with it. It's just making sure they're all grouped, so when that initiation actually happens, at least it's a full 4 versus 4. It's never an outmanned by B-Step in the early parts of the game.
It's another combo, too, that Superstars executed extremely well yesterday, which was Johanna condemning into Sulfuras Smash. Yeah. The timing of those were beautiful, and I do believe that Sray's Johanna is undefeated. It's one of the more niche heroes, obviously, just in general, but Dragonshire is a nice place to be able to pull out that hero because he does feel very comfortable with her. Yeah,
he's been kind of, you know, the advocate for Johanna since she released into the game, one of the more prominent Johanna players, and is showing with the performance here. You know, Sray doing a very good job, and it's really amazing too, because great Johannas versus just good, it comes down to the synergy with the Condemn, with the rest of the team. We've seen, you know, teams internationally be able to pick Johanna, and at times you're like, I don't know how I feel about this, the wave clear, I get it, but it's suddenly when the synergy with Condemn, you look at, like, Vala's another good synergy, right? Like when Condemn's into Reign of Vengeance, SCSC, for instance, internationally Korean player, insane follow-up, and it's suddenly Johanna gets, she's a new hero when the team knows how to work with her, and it looks like Superstars is a team being able to pick that up.
Yeah, it's a team who does have all that synergy put together. It's never been the big problem for them as Superstars. It's been more of the decision-making when they get behind, which, again, adjustments were made yesterday. Even when we talked to Sray in his winner's interview yesterday, we talked about that, and he said the comms weren't the greatest, but the fact that they made that decision, that is the first step to being able to overcome that monumental difficulty.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It just, you know, watching them be able to make that decision, whether it works or not, is a different story. It doesn't even matter, honestly. It, in fact, is the fact that they not only recognized the change, but they were willing to be able to commit to it, and that was a huge sign for Superstars, one that very few teams here in HGC North America have been able to overcome, and again, it's very satisfying, and that only alludes more to that, you know, the improvement that we've seen out of both these teams, but I think even maybe more so Superstars than B-Step.
I would agree. We'll see if Superstars are able to withstand the early pressure of B-Step here on Dragonshire.
On the left-hand side in the blue is going to be B-Step, where APM is on the Karzim. King Caffeine playing the variant K1 Pro, as always, on his legendary Jaina. iDream is going to be on to the Zeratul, and McIntyre on Falstad.
And in the red, their opponents are the members of Superstars, fresh off a victory over Naventic yesterday. Their support player, Iacona, will be playing Rhaegar, Sray playing his Johanna. Goku will be on that Ragnaros, most likely in the top lane. Hosty will be the one playing Vala, which means Medivh will be played by Nightmare. A little switch up there. It was Hosty who played Medivh all day yesterday.
That's really interesting. Such a critical hero to the playstyle of Superstars and the success that they were able to have yesterday, and the fact that they feel comfortable enough to let Nightmare on that hero. We'll see if he's going to be able to perform here as the laning for now. It looks like very patient beginning. Nobody's willing to risk anything quite yet. Two people are roaming a little bit on top for B-Step. So again, they know their wave clear isn't that good. So considering the kill potential on top and Ragnaros being as patient as I would hope to see, at least so far.
He'll stay patient. 3 members moving on to the bottom lane. Medivh will be ever vigilant and watching for the rotations from the members of B-Step. That's key for him to provide the vision for the rest of the team while they make these rotations and try to get the towers starting to be drained of ammo, being as far forward as they dare to be with that vision.
Yeah, and here goes Sray once again for the clear with Superstars. Just absolutely going to be able to be dominant here on the map when it comes to the wave clear here and into the top lane, unless there is a sneaky gank between the Falstad. But for now, it's just going to be the 1-4 standard. Shrines are going to be up in 5 seconds. Pretty convincing control, at least so far, for Superstars. But again, that's more of a compositional advantage that they're going to have. We'll see if B-Step can keep it even up until that 10 mark and be able to get those team fights.
Shrines are going to be traded for now. B-Step consistently keeping Falstad as close to the top as they can and making very fluid rotations between mid and top more with their team members to try to just keep Goku back. They know that they're going to lose bottom because of the constant rotations from Superstars. So the best B-Step can do is make sure to keep top, get bottom when they see members of Superstars roam up to the mid, and then try to get ganks instead. That'll be very important for them. They're even looking at trying to get the Dragon Knight. So the very quick early on rotations for B-Step, not quite netting them a Dragon Knight. Superstars keeping that back, knowing that as long as they can keep their rotation game going, they will start to drain towers of ammo and even put some damage on them.
Yeah, it's most important for Superstars with that drain and the dominance in the 4-man. Goku is legitimately, his only goal is just don't die. And do whatever he can with, within that reach. But the rest of the team is going to be applying pressure towards bottom lane. We see Superstars backing out and going to the Giants here, again, because their wave control dominance. Typically, a team is not going to be able to get away with this without losing pressure onto the Shrines. But again, their control is allowing them to be able to do so. And if they get this invade as well, and it's only going to be 2 members of B-Step, this is going over to the Superstars. A beautiful engagement. Well, King Caffeine not going to be there in time, is all members there. Idrin's going to look for the flank. Caffeine currently trying to retreat. Vala putting out the damage.
Well, Stray dove in pretty deep, and as used Iron Skins, who's going to go out. But importantly, Falstad went up to stop. He actually, I think, even flew to stop Ragnaros from claiming top. And so Superstars knew that it wasn't going to be Falstad who could come in. McIntyre was out of that. It was only iDream who could come in as Zeratul. So nice invade from Superstars, and it keeps the pressure going in that bottom lane.
Yeah, that's exactly what they need, again, because the only way that B-Step really has a kill potential is going to be on that isolated top lane, with iDream getting a rotation, typically with a false head. So the fact that, we just see this heads-up play from Superstars, again, they look like a very evolved team here. As week number 4 of HGC, Nightmare getting out a bit of poke. They're going to be getting the cap on bottom here. Superstars, again, sticking to the macro game that their comp really, it's great at compared to B-Step. And it's rare to see a team understand that as much as Superstars seems to, at least in the series. They're applying pressure when they should. They're rotating perfectly. Goku is overly patient, which historically Goku is the guy to get caught out in the solo lanes almost always. So it's really awesome to see this
and they know exactly how much they can get away with, and they're willing to take it, which again, like you said, is a rarity, especially as we've seen. It's a completely different team. Nightmare's going to throw out a portal. It allows Johanna to move through. Now, Iron Skin has already been used, so this is a rough spot for Stray to be in. There's Force of Will down 2. Condemn's going to pull in the members of B-Step, and Stray just barely makes it out in time. Very great coordination of those abilities to get Stray out and save them from losing first blood.
And that means you've got to, be looking at the draft of the side of B-Step and questioning the success that this might have as the game moves on. They picked a comp that really is focused, again, on those skirmishes, on those picks, and not having that success into the Johanna and the Medivh. They have to be very efficient against the squishy backline if they want to have a shot here into this game, because the laning phase is obviously not in B-Step's favor. Superstars
are pulling B-Step apart in this early game. They have pressure in every single lane, at least the top and the bottom, and they have to keep somebody in the mid. They have to make B-Step leave someone in the mid, because Superstars even have the potential to get the Dragon Knight there. So Superstars are everywhere in this game number 1, and that's pulling ahead in experience ever so slightly, getting towers down too, so that once they do get a Dragon Knight, they can do even more with it.
That being said, with the calculated pressure that we've seen out of Superstars, B-Step has done a pretty good job in the experience department, that they haven't fallen that far behind. They're doing a very good job whenever those resources are committed elsewhere to make sure they don't lose something, on the bottom half of the map, and that is, allowing them to be able to have an opportunity. What if we hold out till 10, buy enough time here, as they've only managed to only fall half a level behind. And to the wave clear their opponents have, it's very impressive.
Yes, it shows how fast their reactions are, and understanding that they're just going to be behind versus this, so they need to be very quick with all the rotations, as you have to be on Dragon Char anyway. And even going for an invade here on the side of Superstars, trying to stop them from getting their own Giants, but with a portal showing up, it was a little scary for B-Step, so they're going to get out. And Superstars will still keep a hold of their Giants.
That's going to be a Dragon Knight. Medivh is not going to be able to make it to mid in time, I don't believe. Oh, the delay onto bottom is going to happen. I thought King Caffeine made it in time, but in fact wasn't going to be there. That would have been a huge moment for B-Step if they were able to pick up that DK.
Yeah, especially because that was a risky spot for Medivh to deny, because he does not have Master's Touch Tax done. He's only about halfway through, so nice for B-Step to either say, okay, you can come in, but we're going to kill your Medivh, or you give up the Dragon Knight to us. But Superstars barely stay alive without losing a Dragon Knight. Now have heroic abilities. Iacona questioning whether they want Bloodlust or Ancestral Healing, as he will do. He's also using that same build as we saw yesterday with
Yeah.
having the reduced mana cost for his heal.
Yeah, I love the build, and another invade looks like, you know, or at least scouting from Saray here into this game. Ragnaros is questioning if he has the ability to be able to capture on that top. Saray now in a tough spot. That's going to be the Iron Skin. There's the taunt landing on top of him. Iokona's not in range for the heal yet. He gets the heal over the wall. This is going to be both captured, and then K1 Pro will be able to get the channel on bottom. So again, just only, you know, a little bit of a dancing around, feeling each other out for now.
APM has chosen Divine Palm as his heroic of choice. Everything else is standard. Once again, the taunt goes down. Posty follows up with a Rain of Vengeance, trying to get Saray out. Ancestral Healing has to connect. There comes the turnaround, but B-Step will have none of that, gusting away Superstars.
But they didn't have to use Void, nor did they have to use Ring, and so that is a victory here for B-Step so far in this game, allowing them to be able to get the reinitiation onto Superstars in the next couple of seconds. 40 if they really want to capitalize on the lack of, you know, Blessed Shield, making, you know, Condemn the only super play that really Stray can make happen. 3 members, though, of B-Step going to bottom. They're going to be able to pick this up. McIntyre is still on to top, so he might question if he wants to fly down.
A lot of these heroic abilities still down. Most importantly, Ancestral Healing. Zeratul checking out, seeing if there's any place they can go for a Void Prison. So far, not yet, but even without getting that crucial Wombo, B-Step have taken control of the shrines once again. Ragnaros is in mid, guarding that mid lane. We'll be able to guard for now. In the minute that they see somebody move up, the rest of Superstars can get more aggressive in the bottom lane, but it's still a 3-for-3. There goes Sulfur Smash even being used. Nightmare's going to follow up with an Arcane Rip portal to go in. He's jumping in. He takes out Zeratul before Zeratul can drop a Void.
Yeah, he was, or just, you know, holding on to the Void, realizing that the cooldown is going to be a little bit too long there. In fact, Leyline Seal is now going to be able to keep Nightmare alive. McIntyre with the barrel roll ends up gusting now Superstars into a tough position. Posty's there, going to be able to join the fight. There goes the Bolt onto APM, and the rest of the friends. Ring of Frost is going to lay. It ends up hitting Posty there. The Palm is going to proc for APM, and that is going to be a turnaround here. 2 people down, 4 Superstars. The 4-man Condemn. APM goes down, but it does end up costing, again, a Rhaegar's life there for Iacona, as the fight seems to have ended there. 1-for-3 trade. B-Step pulling ahead.
That APM play, turning around right in front, throwing Palm down, saying, fine, you can attack me, but I'm going to go, I'm going to be alive. The Rain of Vengeance came out, and that helped him get a kill on Vala. Impressive plays from APM. Goku's going to use Molten Core to try to delay as long as he can around Dragonite so that Stray can move up to the top lane, steal the shrine away. And now Superstars need to get 13. They're nearly there of getting it, and then they'll have 13 and can feel safer about fighting once more. Yeah,
it looks like Calf there. There is going to be a portal by Nightmare if things get hairy for a second. There he goes. It's going to be able to get B-Step this top channel as they still have 13 talents here. Stray swoops right on in there. It says, hey, you know, gives a little slap there with, you know, her mace. Isn't that it? Yeah, she's got a mace.
Yeah.
And they're going to back on out for now. 13 Talonteers. Anything crazy? Nothing across the board seems too drastic. We still, again, the same build out of Iacona, but everything else is norm. I would like to say that Superstars has failed to be able to put the pressure on the back half of this game like they did the early half, and that shouldn't have changed because it's not like B-Step's been getting the picks to be able to separate them. It's just been a lack of commitment and rotation as a group on the side of Superstars. And it makes me a little bit fearful now for the future of this game after, you know, having such a beautiful beginning. It does seem like, you know, the success or at least full understanding of what they want to make happen has kind of crumbled a bit here.
The only thing interesting I see is Ice Barrier for Jaina instead of getting Icy Veins, going for the defense versus more offense. What do you think? What do you make of that? Who do you think the big target is for why she picked that? Ragnaros?
It's mainly just puts it into a position with Ice Barrier to be able to get a proper flank onto somebody without dying.
Okay.
It puts you in a position to where you have the ability, you know, to not just throw Ice Lances at the front line, and suddenly you can get that K1 Pro-esque playstyle where you might want to drop onto the Medivh and to the Vala, and if Vala turns, you're going to gain enough shielding off of your burst initiation to where you don't just die, that you don't force a palm, because ever since Ice Block's been removed, it's kind of been compensated as that 13 is Ice Barrier is your next best bet onto the flanks.
Yeah, seems good, especially when you may have to make a flank in order to follow up a Void Prison with Ring of Frost.
But it does cripple his ability without having the Icy Veins to be able to kill the front line now. It does put more focus onto the flanking of K1 Pro.
Both shrines again being held by B-Step, which means Superstars have to be out. Taunt hits Stray, but he is the tanky Johanna, stays fine for now. iDream's in there, and once again, Ragnaros can stop B-Step from getting a Dragon Knight, but it does start to seem like B-Step more and more are the ones who are gaining control of this game, whereas Superstars are constantly just responding to B-Step, which is never where you want to be in a Heroes game.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes down, again, the lack of pressure and commitment or rotations on the side of Superstars. Again, B-Step has not been able to really get those kills, stagger those deaths, and stack a DK. It's just been a failure of heavy committed rotations, whereas we look at the side of B-Step, they are just rotating as a squad, capturing one, splitting somebody, getting a pressure, and suddenly they are the ones dictating the transitions of Superstars in this game. So 16 obviously out of reach for now. There's going to be a taunt combo. Sray pops the Iron Skin. Cleanse is still up here, so we'll see if that needs to be used. He is going to be a retreat. Ragnaros captures on top. But again, it's just Superstars is doing this to themselves in some extent. And now that they hit this, when they hit 16, I'd like them to just stop playing Ring of the Rosie. You know, just walk in, Blessed Shield, Sulfura smash somebody's face off. Look to be able to take that fight, because as the game is moving at this rate, they do not have an upper hand, and they don't have a global if it goes really late.
B-Step now have Juggernaut at level 16 for max damage health, 6% whenever King Caffeine charges in. So that is helping with trying to chunk down Sray's health bar a little bit more, but still with all the shielding, the heals, they're still not breaking through Johanna very much. APM, this is risky to put APM in the Dragonite. There's no support now for the members of B-Step, but B-Step at least do get the Dragonite along with their 16.
Yeah, and that means that Superstars, once they hit 16, should be looking to move past, honestly, just APM. The fact that he's in there, it's a very easy thing to be able to punish without having, you know, Divine Palm to be able to peel. At least forcing a Void or a Gust would be in their best interest. APM, though, for now, is sitting at 50% HP here into the mid lane. Zeratul and Falsehead soaking onto the sides, only furthering the experience advantage that B-Step has been able to obtain in the first 13 minutes of this match.
When he died, Medivh lost all his Master's Touch stacks, but now he's trying to gain them back up while fighting versus the Dragonite. He's about a quarter of the way done with those for now. Here comes the first smash. Lands on top of McIntyre, who has already used Gust. King Caffeine's going to move into. Portal is down for defensive purposes if Superstars need it. iDream's in the back. Ancestral Healing has to be used on Nightmare. iDream still jumping in, looking for the right Void Prison, and will get one, but there's no ring follow-up. Jaina is way far back. It's more just to get iDream out.
That was exactly what I was talking about, though. Forcing a Void, forcing a Gust. They initially got both. Dream scenario here. Now Superstars should be looking to be able to try and take this fight, even though APM will make it out, or at least get pressure onto the map. Consider these Giants, the Knights on the bottom, because again, the game was fine for Superstars when they kept up pressure. The minute they split, they weren't committing as a group. Suddenly, B-Step, you know, they were dictating the pace with their skirmishy, mobility-oriented composition.
And Superstars still do have Leyline Seal, so they have that to bail them out if they get aggressive and don't have the right spot for a fight. But at the very least, they are just going for the safe mercenaries on their side of the battleground. They get their Giants, they get their Bruisers, but the faster rotation to the bottom was made by B-Step, who are very likely to get these Bruisers. But maybe at least Superstars can jump in in time.
But Medivh is actually flanking along with Johanna. It should be scouted out there, and APM's going to be by himself. He might dash out there too. iDream's going to be captured. Medivh does not drop, even though Falstead is on top. Ragnaros is yet to be able to transition. So again, very patient play out of Superstars.
They are running a little bit out of time, about a level behind B-Step, but still plenty of time to try to make a fight happen. But if they want that fight to happen before Void Prison is back, that fight needs to happen in the next 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough spot. The lack of punishment here on the side of Superstars may come back to haunt them as the game moves forward. Again, the experience so far against them, the time window with the Shrines now going to be spawning here in the next 30 seconds is really going to be able to hurt them. The invade onto the Knights might be the best option here, as it is scouted now by Nightmare. But for now, again, more patience. Portal's going to be dropped. Taunt goes on to Sray on bottom. A little bit of poke. Goku comes in, say, hey, what's up? I'll take this Knights. No, I won't. Yes, I will. And is Medivh Shield's going to be burnt? That's Sulfura Smash.
That's an early palm, too. APM's palm does not get procced. Rain of Vengeance will take him out. Ring of Frost and Void Prison did not hit at the right time. Zeratul's out. So is Volo. So far, it's a 2-for-1 in favor of Superstars.
Yeah, that was the invade that they needed. They're going to be able to portal right on out. 10 seconds for these Shrines to be able to spawn, and suddenly Superstars, again, is going to be able to have control in this game. 45-second window. K1 Pro backing for mana. Nightmare questioning, you know, hey, I can stop this back, should I? She's going to be able to consider the mini wave now.
Do it again. Do it again.
Yeah.
Bird.
I believe. Varian's not there, man. All right. Well, sadly, not as much interrupt there. To be honest, though, it's a risk that's not needed.
Yeah.
It just
also,
makes me feel good.
If you're the sub-in for a team and you want to go for that, you die as Medivh. Probably not going to be very happy with you. So I understand. He gets one.
I just calms at that point and be like, well, did you finish Smash and Touch? And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, not really. Sorry, guys.
Kind of. No.
I did in my heart. I finished it in my heart,
and
guys.
that's what's important.
I gave it my all. Either way, mid fort's going to be destroyed here. Bottom looks like it is now the next victim for the Dragonite of Nightmare. 20 advantage is going to be picked up for B-Step, but only for a small period of time. This bottom fort will not be able to secure that, so Superstars is going to be able to back out here. They have to find this window. Ball is going to be looking for that soak, as B-Step is just going to do their best to be able to rid Nightmare of this strong exoskeleton that is a dinosaur.
I thought it was Dinosaur.
That was Freaky Dinosaur Man.
Freaky Dinosaur Man,
that
and then Dragon Knight Man.
Yeah, see, there's a huge difference.
I'm sorry.
One's Dahaka.
Just can't keep my dinosaur straight, you know?
Yeah, somehow my dinosaur lore isn't the most accurate, or at least my description thereof. But 20 is still not picked up for Superstars. No soak into the side lanes to be able to get that. When they do, though, they have opened up the map nicely. That is the biggest adjustment for them. We've seen them be able to commit to those fights, and we're very successful there against B-Step. Does any team hit a bonus advantage, though, when it comes to 20?
Epic Mount?
Epic Mount when it comes to the map objective, yes. Rewind when it comes to kill potential is going to be really awesome. Variant with multiple taunts is absolutely terrifying to be able to deal with. If that gets too much value, K1 Pro is going to have a lot of good flanks. So B-Step, yes. But I can't help but feel like you can never underestimate Johanna's 20. If she gets a Saray very aggressive positioning and isn't caught out, it is a huge tool to be able to abuse. And then, Medivh. You have Medivh cheats. The value you can get out of that is another thing to be able to always be fearful of. So I would say I put it pretty close to even. Maybe a little bit of an advantage on the side of B-Step.
Goku still hasn't decided on his. Can Snap Pick Submerge if needed, but if he gets to the point where he needs heroic difficulty for mass defense or for whatever reason he thinks that he needs it, that may be the other pickup too. The other thing I see is it's not Peaceful Repose, so every palm matters still for APM. He wanted to get Storm Shield instead.
Every palm matters. Yeah, and we've managed to be able to see one has been proc, the other one was not. And that being said, the palm on, the Karzim himself is the easiest to be able to get procs. So we'll see if he's going to be able to make that happen later. But again, there was a moment where wasn't so successful. I would like to see on the side of Superstars in this, mingling downtime, if you will, to just focus on that top half of the map here. Now that they managed to be able to open on bottom, they have vision control onto bottom. They pick up this Knights and now rotate to top and apply that pressure. They really can hurt a lot of the tools on the side of B-Step on this next Dragonite phase.
I was wondering what King Caffeine wanted to do there, but just jumping in, saying hi to Srang. Friendly hello with this charge. Going to still let all of B-Step have their mercenaries. Now Johanna is separated from the rest of the team, so Superstars being pretty cautious in their lane setup, except Nightmare, who is ever vigilant, watching all of the movements of B-Step constantly throughout this game.
Yeah, and so for the most part, I think we can expect that B-Step is not going to feel comfortable taking any fight where it's not, again, in their favor. Once they have the global with the Epic Mount, you should only be looking for fights near the map objective that you want, whether it be top or bottom. Falstad flies top, there it is. They're going to be forfeiting on bottom for a period of time, then look to fight on the bottom after. So this is textbook Dragonshire when you have a global on the side of B-Step. So what I want to see from Superstars is actually, instead of committing resources to bottom, allowing that fight to happen, give them the old swap, Put Superstars onto top, apply pressure top. Don't let Falstad get this rotation for free. Take the top forward eventually, and now you're opening up the map and capitalizing on the fact that B-Step's not getting value out of their global.
But you could also go heroic difficulty, take Molten Core, knowing that it's on a cooldown and lasts longer, start sieging down a keep up in the top, and a keep towers is more experience, not necessarily needed at this point, but does open up a win condition. Yeah,
and it very much is a great tool, especially if they're going to be able to confirm it, and nobody on the side of B-Step is moving in. They have a lot of tools, and they weren't looking to punish. Speaking of that, though, the taunt is going to go out there on Iacona. He makes it out, so Fear of Smash is going to be used here as well. Health bars for B-Step sitting high. Portal's going to be taken now for Saray, and Cleanse is used now on Goku for Iacona. APM and friends, though, seem higher in HP overall than Superstars. Good Medivh shield, though, out of Nightmare.
Here comes the Gust and the Fly, too, aggressively there. A lot of people grouped, and a 2 are going to be hit into the Void Prison. McIntyre's on the chase and takes out Iacona. No ancestral healing for this fight for Superstars. No support at all. They need to get out of here as best they can. They still have shields from Medivh, and the healing from that might be enough to get all of the rest of them out. They will run away in the nick of time, but they do lose Iacona for 50 seconds. So Superstars take a keep, but sacrifice the Ray God to do so.
I think the most important thing for Superstars is to not even contest this, honestly. Staggered deaths is absolute worst case scenario. There's going to be the shield. All right, so they give up the Dragonite. What does it really cost them? It obviously is going to be able to cost them this mid fort. It could be bottom as well. But they don't lose any keeps if Rhaegar is going to be able to spawn in time as long as they get a little bit of poke out, and that's the most important thing. There is no win condition. It's a 21-minute Dragon Knight. Now, if this is 26, kind of change the story. You know, Dragon Knight can open up for lethal at that point in time. So patient play here for Superstars. It's, I guess, merely a setback, losing that pick very early to Icona there.
Support and tower go down.
Yeah, I'm surprised Superstars is always giving BStep these fights that they want. Is more than anything. Again, with the wave clear that exists on the side of Superstars and how clean, you know, levels 1 through 9 seem to be able to go. It seems past that point, things not as pretty. But heroic difficulty is going to be able to turn it up once more. That's a Blessed Shield.
Ice block has to be used, so is Palm. Oh, he walks into the fire and it procs, and that means that K1 Pro stays alive.
That was so close to Filmfish and then became so epic so fast. The Palm and the Ice Block used at the same time, and he's like, nope, screw this, cancels the Ice Block, walks into the Fire Breath there, and it confirmed the death there, being able to get the proc out of Palm. So very good play there from K1 Pro. Heads up, quick reaction time. But the Dragon Knight still not able to be able to confirm the keep, thanks to heroic difficulty there by Goku.
That is something that BStep, we saw them trying to take advantage of. That Goku does not have Submerge. They were heavily focused on taking Goku out in the fight, but turned on Iacona when McIntyre realized that he could get that kill after Iacona was really, really low. Can't ancestral himself, of course. Ray is standing on the point, has Blast Wave 2. Nobody wants to mess with the Fiery Johanna. So BStep will back off again, letting Superstars continue their rotation constantly. They make this rotation. The Dragon Knight ends, they go to their Giants, they go up to the Knights, and then they go and push along with their Bruisers. This time, though, the Mercenary camps in the bottom, if they can continue to push that wave, that could cause a lot of trouble for BStep not having a keep there.
Yeah, by having the top 4 down, it's a huge advantage now at this point of the game. Again, with Superstars only putting concentration into the mid and bottom, yes, those are the most valuable, bottom specifically, lane in the Dragonshire, but top is also the next one to be able to consider, and that top standing fort is something that BStep will be able to abuse when it comes to vision, and the fact that they have fall stat, that's actually a significant advantage this point in the game on Dragonshire. That's why globals are always have to be focused, and then if top 4 doesn't die, it's just such a safety net to be able to pull back and wait for the misplay on the side of Superstars and then get the epic mount down to join the right fight. But Molten Core is going to be used here on mid, pressure on bottom, pressure on top with double Night Camp. Superstars here, you know, just painting the map red and throwing everything they have at BStep.
Superstars went for Bruiser Camp Steel number 2, the sequel, the Bruisening.
The Bruisening.
They got it again. Just keeping stealing, and finally, 24 minutes of the game, that top fort goes down, so that's a nice win. More open of the battleground. Superstars make the rotation down to bottom to keep the pressure up in bottom lane, knowing that Shrines are starting in 20 seconds.
So now the most important thing is that Superstars, instead of applying pressure to bottom, they overcommit to the top half of the map, capture on that, and then look to be able to take the fight on the bottom half of the map is the best focus, or best opportunity that they're going to be able to have in this game. Not capping this camp on bottom, I think, is huge. They do end up capturing it here very early. The reason why you want to wait on that capture is purely because if you cap it too early, then it's going to be able to be a free clear, and those Knights aren't going to get value on core. They're merely to push out the wave to be able to get vision during the phase, the Shrine phase. So heads up play from Superstars. They are going to be transitioning towards mid for the skirmish. They know false heads on bottom. Nightmare getting the scout. And it looks like we're going to see a little bit more ring around the rosy.
Oh, Superstars are moving in, trying to make BStep, if they're going to rotate down, go all the way back to their base, making sure that they keep BStep as far back as they can so Superstars control these rotations. But it's going to be faster that Zeratul takes bottom away. So Stray will be the chosen one to watch mid for that little bit of time where they have to pick up the top shrine. And as you said, ring around the rosy continues. 25 minutes into Dragonshire, 5 kills versus 4. Both teams looking for that final Dragon Knight to close out the game.
Yeah, and False Head again keeps the matching onto the opposite side of the map like he should be. Very well done for BStep so far in this game. iDream even using the cheeky escape there with his W onto the minion. Fawcett looks like he's going to move up, knowing that Saray is now on bottom, and against the dance is going to happen here. So I would like to see Superstars apply more pressure on bottom, again forcing that rotation out of B-Step, but this time looking to capitalize on the Fawcett soaking. You know, that rotation to zone them away should be more of just, you know, looking to fight. They know they're going to be down a man. The keep is down on the side of B-Step. Superstars has that advantage and that constant pressure into this lane. They can force B-Step at least one hero to an area, whereas B-Step can't do the same to Superstars. So if they capitalize on that, that's when we see those 26-minute Dragon Knights come out.
Admiros was chasing iDream down. I thought maybe he had him caught dead to rights, but iDream got away again. This steal is so scary. The positioning of all of the heroes has to be right on because a Void Prison would cause a lot of danger. Iron Skin's used. It does allow the steal of the camp as well as Molten Core once again for sieging. This time it'll be sieging on the keep towers in mid.
Falsett's going to fly mid and iDream's going to backdoor bottom. They're going to go for a Dragonite right now. Zeratul is actually capturing bottom, and they're trying to buy enough time for Falsett to be able to fly mid, or Zeratul fly mid, and be able to get the DK, which is going to force Superstars to panic and go for core right now.
These are 4 Giants they have here in bottom. Is it enough?
It's risk.
If they get a kill.
They're going to move in. There's going to be the Blessed Shield. Leyline Seal. Medivh cheats, hitting 3 people here. The shield's already going to be removed. Keep in mind, Void Prison's up. It's not used on core, only onto Medivh. Now that's going to be Hosey dying here. 70% onto the core. The protection. Ring of Frost is going to be dropped 37, 30% onto the core. Nightmare falling very low. He uses the pot shield, 22% onto the core, Gilly.
9%, 7%. Ragnaros is down. It's only Medivh and Stray, but they did it. Superstars take out B-Step with just a pure core rush. Did you think they were going to take that?
I didn't, but once Void was not used on core, I thought so.
Yes. Okay.
That was, for me, I was like, okay, this is risky. There's a Gust, there's a Void. Neither were used properly to be able to peel off the core directly, which then made it a lot easier to be able to get it. You know, because not only was it not used on core, it was only used on Medivh. The worst probably kill when it comes to, it keeps people alive, but when it comes to actually sieging, probably one of the lower ends of the heroes. But Superstars being able to pull it out there at the very end. Very well done.
It was used on Medivh, and then they got the kill on Vala at least.
Yeah.
Big damage dealer, but that got hairy.
I mean, you need that 5 seconds peel off core. You need that time. Even though they get 1 kill, typically you need no more damage going into the core in the process there. And Superstars is going to be able to get game number 1. Started with the draft. Very well done. You know, maybe not. They started those first 9 minutes, though. That was a brand new version of Superstars. If they could keep that up for the entire game, I mean, they might be climbing season number 1, too. You know, Temper Storm, look out.
Wow, that was great words from Dread.
Their early game was so well done.
Yeah, it was.
It hit level 6, and then it was like, oh, what if we just stop doing this?
But they know what they have to work on.
Yes.
We know and we see it, and they know it. So we'll see if they can continue that throughout this series. We're going to a break. When we return, game number 2.
The most important thing I've learned in all my journeys is balance. Work and play. Good and bad. Right and wrong. Honor. Tradition. A good brew.